So before we get started, again, I want to give a couple more minutes for people to jump on. Sam, did you see the new Avengers movie?
I have not yet, so don't give anything away.
I'm not going to give anything
away. I'm busy.
I
actually have to work.
Okay. Well, we all know that's not true. But without giving anything away, it was a cinematic experience like no other, I will say.
Nice Dane Cook reference.
Thank you. I didn't know that was a thing. The movie itself is 3 hours. Did you know that?
That's a long time to sit in a room.
But it felt like at most an hour and a half. That's how good and engaging the film was.
I heard it was emotional.
Yeah, if you get like that. I mean, I don't know.
You get like that.
I'm just a dark soul. I have no emotion.
Block of marble.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, you do have to really be fairly familiar with all the other films that came before it to really appreciate it.
That's why I spent 2 weeks catching up on every Marvel movie for the last 6 years.
That's where you went.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Called it vacation.
So, well, go see it now while it's in the theater because,
Are you getting paid for this promo?
I'm just saying, no, you go see it while it's in the theater because you can watch a movie on a VCR, but there's a better way to do it, right?
Now I see where you want with it.
Thank you.
Now I see where you want.
And that brings us into leads today, okay? So in the conversation today that we're going to talk about, we want to talk about dealership leads, and I think that the VCR is something to think about because leads.
By the way, Mike, if you're on, thank you for this because this played into our webinar perfectly.
Yes.
We did not quote this. This was a direct quote from Mike Blackmore from the Harms Automotive Group.
The Canadian sensation himself, Mike Blackmore.
I like that, the Canadian sensation.
Yeah. But no, what we're talking about here today with leads, and this is just a picture of myself and Sam if you want to know who these two idiots chatting with each other are. But leads is an interesting concept in automotive when you look at the history of leads, and kind of like the VCR, watching a movie is essentially still the same process today, right?
But there's a better way.
There's a better way. The mechanisms have changed.
Yeah.
You can get more out of a film today.
Yes.
But when we look at leads,
well, you don't get the special features on a VHS.
You get special features, you get commentary, all the
great things that won't fit on a VHS.
Right. But when you talk about leads in automotive, Sam, for the longest time, I would argue that, we haven't evolved much more since the fax machine.
No, we still technically send leads to a VCR, which is the CRM.
Right. And just because I like my gifts, I only used one this time. This is kind of that old fax machine scenario, waiting for a lead to come in, and then he finally does, and you're like, holy shit, I got one.
I hope everybody on the call remembers these days. I mean, I didn't work at the dealership when this happened, but I've heard the horror stories about when internet departments were developing and BDCs were becoming a thing. You would get these fax leads that would come in, and then they'd be dispersed out to the salespeople, and then they would call and follow up on these.
Right.
But now we haven't evolved since then. We've made a digital version of the fax copy that gets sent.
But what we've also done too is we've duplicated that fax machine 1,000,000 times over on the internet.
Oh yeah,
right.
Gino Ciparone is coming through the fax machine 8 times because of the call to actions on the website.
So that was the other thing too. So kind of that was the promise of the internet for the dealership, right? Mm-hmm. With this new web presence, your leads are going to evolve into something that are far more useful for you and the customer. And I think that's what we kind of got, excited about. Prospects, whatever you want to call them.
Leads anymore.
Sure, but I think that's what we all got excited about. But I don't think for the longest time that transition has really happened, because if we look today, let's look at what we're doing to try to get these leads, quote unquote leads, right? We have websites today that are trying as hard as they possibly can to put every little possible call to action in front of a consumer to get them to fill out these leads. But Sam, here's the interesting part about this. There could technically be value for a customer in any of these different calls to action.
Yeah,
in their mind.
Yes, and
right?
It's not all bad, but the way in which we are gauging and delivering these, it's kind of changed.
Well, but here's my point. These could all define some different value for some different consumer. That was kind of the thought process behind different calls to action on the website, right?
100%.
But here's why this was done, and here's what ended up happening. Number one, this was mostly done so vendors like ourselves, and we don't mind picking on ourselves, we're guilty of this just like anybody else. Vendors can call you up and tell you how many leads you got and how many calls to action on your site, and it's great. But what we do know, Sam, is that more leads do not equal more customers, because if I take Sam here and Sam fills out 5 leads, that doesn't mean you got 5 Sams. Thank God.
No.
It means you got still just one person that can buy a car.
Sorry, a little slow. Just caught the
right,
thank God there. I was like...
So when we get hung up on leads and CTAs and blah, 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 at the end of the day, an increase in leads doesn't necessarily mean it did anything.
Well, and here's the whole thing that really kind of drives me nuts is most CRMs will dedupe your leads anyways. So why are we looking at the raw number going, okay, we got 147 leads. Okay, well, of that 147, I can see in my CRM that I had, 82 internet ups because it's taken all the multiple leads and it's kind of dumped them in there. Mm-hmm. But depending on how the processes are set up, it's not always usable. It just comes in as a duplicate lead, but those kind of sometimes get overlooked. And it really needs to be more of a, what's that customer continuing to do on my website so they have a better view of who their prospect is.
Yes. And so that's kind of like the thought process there. But let's think about this a little bit of a different way too. We put all those different calls to action on the site, right?
Yep.
What did we do with those different calls to action? We put the same lead form in front of everyone, no matter what they click.
No, the title's different.
Okay,
it's clearly going to give you a different result if the title's different.
But why the hell does this matter to me if I'm a consumer? Or if I'm a dealer, why should I care about this? If I've got 9 different calls to action on my website that lead to 9 of the same lead form popping up that at the end of the day don't provide any sort of meaningful value to a consumer, is that the best way to treat your people online?
The only argument I'd have, which I would say there might be in the entire country and beyond, there might be 10 dealers that have this set up this way. They should have different processes technically per lead form. But I'm going to go on a limb and say that dealers aren't setting their CRMs up to go, oh, is this a get e-price? Okay, send this to them automatically, and here's your word track for your phone call follow-up. Oh, this is a request info. Send them this automated email and call them with a different word track.
The other problem with that,
I promise you no one's doing that.
Well, the other problem with that is even if a dealer does have a good process set up, how frequently do we see salespeople just not follow that process?
Oh, no, they follow to a T.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was.
I mean, all of our salespeople put everything in the CRM.
All of them, right? Yeah, no. So despite the fact that you have all these calls to action and all these lead forms on your site that essentially are one lead form, are things still better? Are they still better than that fax lead really when they came in if you're doing it this way?
Like I said in the beginning, we digitized the fax.
Process.
Yeah, somebody doesn't have to take it off the machine and go hand it to somebody.
Right. But if you're not doing anything special with it, then why don't why are we still doing this way?
I have no idea.
Why haven't we changed? So to me, I mean, the final point driving it home is right here. If I'm looking at this site, I see a car.
It's a good-looking website.
It's a good-looking website. It's got all these different line item discounts. You got MSRP. You got a dealership discount that brings you to the price. You got bonus cash. You got their new price. Consumers aren't dumb, really. If you're looking at this and you say get e-price and I see all these discounts on there, Sam, do you really think the price is going to change?
Yes.
You think the price is going to change?
100%.
Okay, good.
That's sarcasm.
No, I know. So the fact that the price is probably not expected to change in this instance when you haven't laid it out this way, why is the main call to action get e-price?
Because it's been that way since, I don't know, before I worked here.
Could it be said that e-price leads, even though lead form fill outs on the internet overall have been going down for dealers, e-price is still the #1 lead form?
Because it's in the first position.
Is it because or is it because it's just kind of a punt for the consumer? They say, yeah, I'm interested in this car. I don't expect
I'm clicking the first thing that's there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that doesn't provide them any value.
No.
And it doesn't really provide the dealer any value other than you got a name and an email address.
Again, I think I've said this before on another webinar or somewhere else, but at the end of the day, if your website is converting at 4% for forms, that's really low. Like, that's the industry average. But in my head, I'm going, like, you're only getting 4% of people to fill this thing out. And of those 4%, when you click on it in the first place, and then you look at the completion rates, only like 37%, why are 70% of people opening that form and then leaving?
Because it didn't have anything extra for them.
It doesn't have anything extra.
No,
they see it.
Value.
It's all here. All the line items are there.
So that's the difference. And that's the point that we're trying to get across here is that this lead for the consumer doesn't provide anything additional for them. But people who are in such research phase and know really pretty much what they're looking for once they get to a dealer's website, the site's got to be able to do more for them. And I think that customers deserve that, but I think dealers deserve more from their leads too. Wouldn't you say so, Sam?
I do. I really do. They need better data that's actionable, that is more in line with what today's standards are.
Yeah, because a lot of dealers have put a lot of effort into creating good processes in their CRMs, right, around these leads. But if all leads are coming in the same, how can that process really be any different? I mean, you mentioned before, and I'll challenge you on this a little bit. If I get a confirmed availability lead or an email a friend lead in, and it's the same person, does my process really change, or am I just going to try to get them in the store to look at a car?
The entire goal of the BDC is to pick the phone up, get on the phone with them, and get them in the store. Because the mentality is, and I will never disagree with this, is if you can create that sense of urgency, get the person in the store. The salespeople are there to sell. That's their entire goal, is to sell. If you've got somebody on the floor that's ready to buy that already showed interest on your website, you're going to sell them. So yeah, the main goal is to get them in the showroom.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, the process isn't going to change. We just changed the title of the form.
So we need to change the lead.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we do. The lead is antiquated.
And the lead is antiquated because what does the customer want? What do they really want to see online?
Payment.
That's it.
Information, maybe rebates.
They want to see, but
value of their car.
In terms of a lead, they want to see, yes, the value of their card, which would lead to a payment, or maybe a pre-screen, which could lead to a payment, or maybe a bank rate, which would lead to a payment.
It sounds like everything would lead to a payment.
Sounds like everything would lead to a payment, right? Isn't that the end goal?
I mean, that's the end goal when you're in the showroom. You're sitting there talking to the salesperson, trying to figure out what your payment's going to be.
Right, and if you think about what somebody's doing on a website, let's just say I'm sitting here, I'm the website, and you're a shopper. I know nothing about you. You're sitting there.
Terrible looking website.
Terrible looking website. But you're sitting there asking me what the price of the car would be, and I could tell you. But what I don't know is that you're a 650. You've got $5,000 in equity on your car.
Two bankruptcies.
Two bankruptcies. So the price I gave you is meaningless because it's most likely not going to fit within your payment budget anyway.
Probably.
So this is where now we need to change the thought process. We need to change it out to kind of start to drag away from a little bit that lead form, that reserve a car, that e-price, even those things I know that are still there. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. If the consumer likes the car that they see on your website and they want to do business with you, the next step is to find out what that car is going to cost them payment-wise.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
And only because Amazon pays me every time I say the word Amazon, so it's $10 right there.
I thought I was getting paid.
They switched. You weren't doing it enough.
Okay.
When you go shop on Amazon, are you sending in a lead to a product in which you want to buy?
No.
Or do you already have a consumer profile that's created and you're going to shop and purchase things?
I swipe to buy now.
Because you already have a consumer profile.
Yes.
We need to treat the people that are shopping our websites the same way. Now, I know that you're never going to always get somebody to create an account because people, when they're shopping dealers, aren't going to put chips all in on one dealer website and go, oh, I'm going to make an account because this is where I'm buying my car from. But on the back end, as far as leads are concerned and how we process these and how they're handled, it needs to be an all-encompassing view of what that consumer is doing on your website as opposed to counting them as a lead every time they interact.
Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately what we want to get to is that e-commerce experience, which is going to boil down to a monthly payment. It is not going to boil down to a price for a consumer. That doesn't tell them anything.
Unless you're Warren Buffett and you're a cash person.
Yeah, but funny enough, he doesn't spend cash as it is. He's still driving the same Lincoln he's driven since the 80s.
Is that true?
Yeah.
No.
So,
big Buffett fan, huh?
Big Buffett fan.
Unless you're a Jimmy Buffett fan.
No, hate that guy. Love Warren Buffett. But this is, without going too deep into the kind of this is ultimately what we call digital retailing, right? Now, without going too deep into this tool, it just boils down to you need a few certain things to be able to answer that customer's questions online. You got to have integration with banks. You got to be able to do customer pre-screen so that you're not relying on them for their credit information, because otherwise you're going to get their always accurate Credit Karma score to base your payment off of.
No, yeah.
Right?
Last I checked, I give my Credit Karma info when I go buy a car.
Yeah, no, and that didn't go well for you.
Well, I'm riding a bicycle.
That's right. You're going to need their trade information and their vehicle loan history so you can do an equity calculation. Like, all the pieces are there. And when we put all this together, Sam, here's what the kind of crazy piece of it is.
I'd actually say jump back for just a second.
Just a second.
Because let's think about, I'm just going to go off topic. Not really off topic, off script for that matter. Everything that we're here, that we're looking at on this right-hand side that has been completed has traditionally over time always been individual leads, have they not? Mm-hmm. What car are they interested in? What's their credit? Do they have a trade? We're now just wrapping this all up in one nice, neat package and putting a little bow on it because at the end of the day, like you said, it's down to the payment. So if you can combine everything into one, it creates a super lead, AKA all leads are not created equal.
AKA the last lead a dealer will ever need.
Wow, okay,
right?
Yeah, the last lead a dealer ever need. We should like trademark that.
Well,
the Sarah lead, the last lead a dealer will ever need.
I know, it's in the works. But That's a good point, though, because I mean, these would all just be flooding the CRM.
Oh, and then
because the customer is trying to, on their own, work their way through this payment.
I see where I went there.
Aha. Interesting. Sometimes it's a method to the madness.
Kate asked if I could get you to do that on this one, and I didn't even tell you, but you did it anyways organically.
Kate, if you're listening, you're welcome. Here's what else, too. The customer actually gets a really valuable email sent to them.
It's like they can use this as opposed to the thank you page, right?
It's almost like customers walk into our dealerships with this printed out saying, I'd like to just make sure that this is still the price and payment, and then I want my car. And then it takes about 45 minutes, and they're out of the store.
Yeah.
So that's what online retailing is today. It's not digital retailing. It's just retailing.
It's like a pre-purchase.
Right. It's almost.
It's not a full purchase because most people, from the studies that have been done by companies much bigger than us, have stated that not everybody wants to walk through the entire process, which is a very important key to this.
Mm-hmm.
Not every consumer at this point in time is ready to go drop, $46,000 on a car without actually going and sitting down, negotiating, looking at it, doing all these different things. But if we can make them more informed while making the dealership more informed about who their potential prospect is, not lead, prospect, it's a win-win for everybody.
Now, here's what's crazy about this, Sam. What happens all of a sudden when we start to give consumers visibility on the website?
You know, I actually think this screenshot came from after we changed the Giddy price button to green instead of blue.
Yeah, right. That's usually what makes
That's always what drives us. Yeah, that drives us every
week. But you'd be wrong. I know what the screenshot is you're referring to. No, this is actually when we started giving consumers the option to calculate their own payment via actual real data and this sophisticated tool, they get engaged with it. Look at the conversion rate, just how it jumped. It skyrocketed. Once consumers said, okay, finally, now I can do something on this site. It happened on that website. It happened on another website. Look, it happened again. I mean, over and over, it's just been outstanding, the amount of engagement that we've got.
So would you say, vendor agnostic view, digital retailing is arming dealers with more qualified leads than the traditional piecemeal that they have to deal with that gets dumped into their CRM by all their different call to actions by the same person who's counted 5, 6, 7 times on a website?
I would say that, but I would also add to it, it's also giving consumers a tool that they can finally use to their advantage on a dealership website.
So is this a fad or is it here to stay? Because if it's a fad, I'm out of a job.
It's here to stay. You might be out of a job anyways, but that's a different reason. But it's here to stay. Now, people's understanding of digital retailing might be different. I mean, to us, I know it's not a shopping cart on a website, right? I don't think anybody's really at that point.
I don't think anybody is.
Dealers want to be at that point either.
I mean, I'd like the industry to grow and maybe get to that point. Now, I believe it was Tim Cox at the IS20G conference actually stood up on stage and said, if you think that you're ever going to have a shopping cart on your website and buy a car and ship it to them, you're out of your mind and that's never going to be. I think he went a little far on one direction on that, but time will tell.
Well, but we need
to grow as the consumer gets a better understanding of how dealer websites now work.
Would you say that if it did get to that point, with the manufacturers, and this is now a little off topic.
No, I know where you're going. Don't shop, click, drive me. Don't shop, click, drive me.
Would they get rid of the dealership model?
No, because they tried to intervene before, and it doesn't work. I mean, General Motors tried it. Ford's tried it. How many more times do we have to let the OEM
jump in? But have they tried it when they had an actual working piece of technology? Shop, click, drive was not a working piece of technology at the time.
Now, if there was an OEM that was progressive and wanted to approach vendors and work on a model that would kind of not necessarily eliminate the dealership, but make it kind of more of that Tesla model to where you do your shopping online and you come in and you have a great experience in the store, I think that would take off. Because here's the thing, you're still leaving it in the hands of the dealership, you're still leaving the competition out there for the different vendors, and you're giving the consumer ultimately a better experience. And between millennials and the upcoming Generation Z, who would rather pay more for experiences than they would for products or brands or things like that, that is going to be where that market shifts to. So if we're not looking at trying to creating a better experience and getting the OEMs involved, then yeah, we're going to fall flat on our faces. But I thought you were going to say that they were going to do their own digital retailing.
No.
Like I said, we've seen it tried.
We've seen it, but
it doesn't work.
No, that's not where I was going.
If they go right in the middle, as opposed to the full shopping cart versus just leaving it up to the consumer, and they go right down the middle and they try to make the experience online with a good in-store pickup, I think the first OEM that could accomplish this would absolutely crush it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see how it plays out. But in either case, I think it's a good thing for consumers. I think it's a great thing for dealers because, again, if we go back to what we had talked about before, More normal leads will give the dealers their customer information and this information right here, the vehicle they're looking at. But if you've got a customer taking all these steps to get down to a price and payment online, you can't.
Spacing's off a little
Well,
bit.
that's
I gotta yell at
your technology.
I gotta yell at Mark.
But if you're giving the consumer the ability to get all the way down to a price and payment online, you cannot call them up and say, once that lead comes in, hey, thanks, I see you're interested in a Buick Enclave.
Yeah, you think? I just gave you all my information.
Interested. You said it's going to cost me $600 a month, and I'm going to finance through U.S. Bank. When am I going to come and get it?
Yeah.
So this data.
It's actually not bad. It's 84 months at 5.3.
Yeah.
Actually not bad.
Not bad. Not terrible. Not great.
I mean, for 84 months, it's
sure. Buicks are a nice car too. Making some good vehicles these days.
Honestly, I was looking at the Regal Sportback. It's not bad.
Yeah. You're a little tall for that.
No, but there's plenty of room.
Okay.
I can stick out the sunroof if I have to.
Back on topic. This is my point. This is what your leads you should aspire to as a dealership is have the trade-in value, the whole purchase broken down.
If you're going to speak it, you got to live it, not lead. Prospect.
Fine. What your prospects are emailing you should it be represented in your process, and in that process, in your CRM, you need all this information to go off of it, including credit information, loan data, their current auto loans, and everything like that. So ClickPath is always valuable too, because we also know that people might work out a payment on one vehicle, and then they come in and see another one. That'll happen. They might want to buy that other one instead.
Yeah.
Or you might have that conversation over the phone, in which case it's good to know what other ones they've looked at.
And glad you brought that up, because here's the thing, and this goes again back to the not all leads are created equal, but this is also where we have to again start merging leads together before they start just getting dumped into CRMs. Because what's going to happen is now that we're offering these great tools on websites and we make them easier and make them frictionless, and we save consumer data so they don't have to enter their information 500 times, they're going to naturally want to run multiple payments on multiple cars, and we have to allow them to see it very easily. But we also need to not hammer away someone's CRM or keep counting those as individual leads. They need to be together so you can see the different payments on the different cars for one customer.
Yeah. Nothing to add there, folks. It's just good, pure information right there. And then it would be nice if you could connect a lead to a sale and match all that back and find your revenue numbers of your online activities and stuff. I mean, that's common sense these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it done often? I don't hear what you're saying. Anywho, Sam started motioning something weird, like he had something to say, and then he didn't. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're looking at here, Sam, right?
Yeah.
So leads need to evolve, processes need to evolve around those leads, and the technology has to come in play to make that all happen. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for
short and sweet, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes for questions.
I don't want to take everyone's time. I think we made our point. If anyone has any questions, feel free, type them away. Oh, someone's raising their hand here.
Is it Mike or is it Kate?
Let's see.
Or is it someone from a CRM that's angry?
I don't know. It could be any number of those. But if you do have a question, just type it into the question box.
We'll give everybody a couple minutes in case. But yes, we're not trying to harp on CRMs, but I mean the technology.
I don't think we're harping on anybody. I think we're just harping on the industry. If anything, we're harping on ourselves.
Yes, because we are all part of this industry, and we all are to blame.
Someone asks Slick Tool, where can I buy it? Well, you could start with Dealery for a first step. I think that's a good place to go.
Yeah, we could field that phone call.
Yeah. Sales team's always ready and willing to have that conversation.
I believe the tool's name is Sarah.
Sarah would be the tool, yes. Smart Automotive Retail Assistant. Our clever marketing team came up with that one. Okay, well, thanks everyone for your time. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you have a kick-ass month, and we will see you on the next webinar. Appreciate it.